Hi, I'm Jackie, and today we're talking about the Club Q shooting. I've pre-recorded this video so many times it's not even funny. You will see that. Fix that. You will see that I actually have Twitter feed up on one side of the screen and a TikTok video that is about to play of Hero Richard, the guy that apparently stopped the shooting.
I came in shooting, man. He came in shooting. He was shooting. I don't know what the hell he was shooting at. I smelled the cordite. I saw the flash. I dove, pushed my buddy down. I fell back behind at one of the bar. There's a bench seating, and I fell and hit the back there. And I tried to get up, so I fell backwards. And as I hit it, I saw the ACU armor plates. He's over there. I don't know if he was shooting again. I know there was a lull. I saw that, and I saw the people in the patio. I found out my wife was out there because that's where they all had run. I grabbed him by the back of his little cheap-ass armor thing, and I pulled him down. The young man that was late, he was hiding there, had jumped up with me. I don't know if he helped pull him down or not. I have no idea. Okay, that guy did the same act. Amazing. Pull the dude down, pin him against the side, and just started. Oh, I think he went for his pistol. I don't know. Either way, I grabbed the pistol from him. And then I told the guy, move the AR. The kid in front of me, he was at his head. I said, move the AR. Get the AR away from him. And the kid did it. And then I started wailing on this dude. And I'm on top of him. I'm a big dude, man. And this guy was bigger. And I just kept wailing on him. And I told the kid in front of me, kick him in his head.
Yeah, I'm going to stop it there because it mostly becomes just kick him in the head, kick him in the head. And again, no, I understand. So we're going to the story from the Los Angeles Blade. So you know it's going to be partially unbiased. And notice, focus on the family. I don't know what this is a monument to. Their blood is on your hands, 5 lives taken. And the opening statement towards this is, as the LGBT community continues to mourn the loss of 5 people killed in last weekend's mass shooting, the focus is now shifting on a reflection of anti-LGBTQ sentiment that has evolved from prejudice to incitement, according to Nick Grzaka, a co-owner of Club Q. Now, I can actually see some of this happening. There is actually a lot of people that are more brazen to think LGBTQ people are less than human. And I've recently had to deal with that in my own personal life. It is very important, however, to point out that I don't know much about the shooter. All I know is about the political stuff that has been thrown around, which, based off of the Twitter feed here, the very first tweet on the current, because I haven't updated it yet. Highly trained law enforcement officers have to check in on a regular basis. Why don't other gun owners? From Club Q to Chesapeake. If you catch my drift, it's already being used to be anti-2A. And I'm not a big fan of that. You should not exploit tragedy for political movement. But I digress, and moving on. An interview with the Associated Press, one of the first since the chaos of the aftermath created by the mass shooting, Grzaka said he believes the targeting of a drag queen event is connected to the art form being cast in a fault light in recent months by right-wing activists and politicians who complain about the sexualization or grooming of children. I'm going to be honest with you. I also have a bit of a problem with the drag queen story hour because every video I've seen of it, the drag queen ends up doing a striptease. I have a problem with family-friendly drag queen night because the same thing. And when you start asking about the children's parents, well, they're not there. But we're their legal representatives. Do you understand the problems I have there? And this is coming from somebody in the LGBT community. Even though the general acceptance of the LGBTQ community has grown, this new dynamic has fostered a dangerous climate, he said. And I'm going to be honest with you, there is some problems. Like I said, I've had to deal with this in my daily life. It is different to walk down the street holding my boyfriend's hand and getting spit at, as opposed to a politician relating a drag queen to a groomer of their children, Gretzka said. I would rather be spit on in the street than get hate as bad as where we are today. So can I tell you a little secret? Part of the reason I don't show my face on that much on live cam is most of my teeth are completely destroyed. Because I've been beat up, I've been a lot of things. And that was in the early 2000s, when I was a teenager. Yeah, guys, I'm an old man. On Thursday, President Joe Biden, spending the Thanksgiving holiday with the First Lady and family members in Nantucket, Massachusetts, called Gretzka and Club Q co-owner Matthew Haynes. The President and First Lady offered condolences and reiterated their support for the community as well as their commitment to fighting back against hate and gun violence. They also thanked the two men for the incredible contributions in which they have made and will continue to make to Colorado Springs, which is apparently the most conservative town in Colorado. I also call bullshit on that because everybody I know from Colorado would tell you the exact opposite. Weird. The president told reporters en route to Nantucket, reflecting on mass shootings at the LGBTQ plus club and then another mass shooting Thursday at a Walmart store when a night manager opened fire in a break room in Chesapeake, Virginia, killing 6 and wounding at least half a dozen. Killing 6 and wounding 6 would have been a lot more prevalent instead of at least a half a dozen more. 6 or more people would have worked. It would have been a lot smaller and a lot simpler and got the product across. But they do half a dozen more because it sounds bad. Said his plans was to support a bill banning assault rifles during the lame duck session before next Congress is seated in January. Except those very laws that he keeps promoting are in place in Colorado, and they didn't stop this at all. So what would kicking those laws up to the federal level actually do? And the reason I say that is the gunmen who attacked this Club Q in Colorado Springs should have triggered red flag laws, as well as other laws that would make it criminal for him to have a gun. In fact, it is probably criminal for him to have a gun. But it is easier to make this a political matter than actually talk about the problem, which is mental health. I'm going to do it whenever I get to make that assessment as I get in and start counting the votes, Biden said. In other words, I don't care what you think. This is what I want to do because, well, I'm an authoritarian autocrat, and I just want to grow the state power and take away your right to defend yourself from the most vile of person. Because, honestly, anybody that's ever heard my gun rants can tell you, I believe that the individual should be able to protect themselves. And that is part of the reason why I think Richard should be celebrated for being a hero, although I probably don't agree with what he thinks politically. As the memorial outside of Club Q grows, more attention is now being focused on the needs of the survivors and others of the LGBT community in Colorado Springs affected by the mass shooting. An annual Friendsgiving feast for the members of the LGBTQ community was unable to spend time with relatives because of them being LGBTQ, which is normally held by the owners and staff of Club Q, was shifted to a community diner at Colorado Springs MCC Church. In an Instagram post earlier this week, Gretzka thanked Colorado Governor Jared Polis and State Attorney Phil Whizzer, Colorado Springs Police Chief Aaron Vasquez, and City Council member Nancy Hingham, in whose district the LGBT club is located, for your hard work to ensure that there was a crisis center to serve Club Q and Colorado Springs community during the holiday. Now, I don't have a problem with Friendsgiving because I do actually know a lot of people that's family do not accept them for being LGBTQ. Trust me, it's it's not a welcome talk with my family either. It's just a little bit different situation. But I do know people that's family outright disown them because, well, they're gay. And so I'm not really anti that. Though I do find making this political rather cancerous. But this little press fighter, it's cool. I mean, I don't really see anything that there's any anti-gun or anything in that. So, the fallout over the shooting continues as anger mounts towards many in the LGBT community, or continues to mount as what many see in the LGBT community. God, I can't speak today. Fallout over the shooting continues as anger mounts at what many in the LGBT community see as targeted hate, amplified by a resurgence of anti-LGBTQ hate speech online by far-right media outlets and far-right figures such as Fox host Tucker Carlson. Tucker's not far-right. Tucker's nowhere near far-right. Now, do I agree with Tucker Carlson? No. I might have some points I agree with the man on, but for the most part, no, not really. I'm not a neocon. I'm actually a libertarian. But when it comes down, yeah, I'm using a very broad term on libertarian there. But when it comes down to it, I'm not going to judge a man because I've looked through all the videos and stuff, and quite honestly, when it comes to motive, it's so screwed up on that side that I really don't know if this is caused by hate speech or not. A discerning individual that actually digs would find that out fairly quickly. Colorado Springs is also home to the Focus on Family, one of the largest anti-LGBTQ groups in the U.S. The Christian ministry group has opposed same-sex marriage. Oh my God, they're killing the LGBT people in the streets. Not really. Because what it sounds like, they're a Christian ministry group. LGBTQ plus serves in any branch of the U.S. Armed Forces and continues to advocate for the discredited practice of conversion therapy. I do have a problem with conversion therapy, but there's reasons I have problems with conversion therapy. I don't have a problem with homosexuals being in the military. I really don't care. As far as what Focus on Family, what they advocate for, they're allowed to advocate for these things. And quite honestly, same-sex marriage would be banned by the Bible, and they believe in Christianity. They believe that marriage is a Christian sancthood, not a state thing. And I've had this debate with several people that have that view, that aren't necessarily, oh, well, LGBT people don't matter. Late Thursday, persons unknown vandalized the sign at the main entrance of the group's headquarter complex. We went out there to investigate if there was a crime that took place. Colorado Springs Department spokesman Sergeant Jason Ledbetter told the Gazette regarding the overnight incident, "There is no suspect information at this time, except this is not a good thing to do. This is not a good thing to do. This is actually probably one of the worst things you could do." But whatever, I'm not involved in this. You're just going to end up advocating a bunch of Christian activists, and they're just as annoying as the woke activists that I've dealt with for a very long time. Trust me, it's not fun being hated by everybody in the room. In an Instagram post, Grzeska displayed a picture of the vandalized sign with graffiti spray painted a black reading, "Their blood is on your hands, 5 lives taken." In his message accompanying the picture, Grzeska noticed, "Focus on the Family moved into our city in the 90s. Was a large group behind pushing through Amendment 2 along with Colorado for Family Matters. People such as Dr. James Dawson and Will Parkins have spread a nasty, falseful, hurtful narrative about our LGBT community. Amendment 2 was passed in 1992, and Colorado Springs, El Paso County, where the votes passed the amendment, the same amendment that gave our city the nickname Hate City USA. Words have consequences, and your continuous false narrative about the LGBT community has consequences. Focus on the family. This message added to your sign has more truth to it than you may actually be able to understand. This is not vandalism, or this is an attack on Christians. This message is just a message that was delivered in a way to ensure that you received it. At City of Mouse Southerners, when we meet to discuss how this type of anti-gay speech is coming from our own backyard. Oh wait, hold on. This vandalism is not an attack on Christians. Wait, this is not vandalism. This is not an attack on Christians. This is just that a message that was delivered in a way to ensure you receive it. The problem is that this will be very much seen as an attack on Christians. The Gazette reported that people from around the nation were holding in-person and online fundraisers for the victims and family of the mass shooting. I am actually fine with that. If you feel like that's going to help, please. While the state has an official online donation site, the Colorado Healing Fund, a private online drive, has also become one of the largest appeals. Good Judy Gruen in Denver, an LGBTQ business, raised $25,000 2 hours after starting a GoFundMe drive on Sunday. The initial goal was up to $50,000 and now is at $7,000. Wow. As donations pour in, that's amazing. But I guarantee you that some of these people aren't all that hateful. But you're going to hear nothing but how bad everything is. How bad these people are. How evil and everything is. But, like I said, how about we open up another article and just continue on my thought process here? Not what I meant to do. Stop it. No, that's going to open. Of course, that's going to open here. Alleged Colorado killer. I'm just curious about something. Can I do this? Is this a thing? Yes. Sorry, I get the hiccups. Alleged Colorado killer and like so many mass shootings, a male from a dysfunctional home. Now, remember how I kept saying this was There are some issues here, but it's not necessarily everybody on the right, like some people tend to paint it as. Family is the root of our social existence, but like many things in life, we have no control over which roots we sprout from. Some of us are blessed with the appropriate amount of parental nurturing to develop into healthy, productive members of society. Some, unfortunately, are cursed with adults masquerading as parents who carelessly soak their soul with vigor instead of water. This dude, 22, after a lifelong being accused in familiar poison, allegedly committed an unforgivable atrocity, taking the lives of 5 innocent people and injuring 25 others in a mass shooting at the Club Q nightclub in Colorado Springs, Colorado. After every tragic event, we search for a cause, a motive, to find out where someone crossed the unthinkable line of committing murder. The problem is that we move from finding motives and causes, manufacturing them to fulfill our political prophecies. The victims' bodies were barely cold before we started sprouting superficial pre-suspicions for the killer's behavior. Yeah, you're going away because you're just becoming an ad, and I'm not getting paid for ads. And that is absolutely true. That is very much true. Adding we started adding politics involved before the bodies were even cold, before the story was even out. Once you become an adult, you're supposed to be responsible for your actions, no matter how destructive your past. It is never an excuse to become a predator. But if we prevent more mass shootings of this nature, we must be willing to examine what many mass shooters share in common. They're mostly males who come from broken families. Something I've been screaming for a very long time. Anderson Allen, born Nicholas Brink. Wait, hold on. He changed his name. Never had a meaningful relationship with his fathers. His parents divorced when he was a toddler, disconnecting him from the most important male figure in his life. From the beginning, his father, Aaron Brink, traveled a tumultuous path in life, from mixed martial arts fighter to crystal meth addicted porn star. Yeah, this kid had some really, really screwed up things. Eldridge's name change, as per filings, was specifically to protect him and his future from any connections to his birth father and his criminal history. Eldridge's mother, Laura Vopel, also has a history riddled with criminal offenses, including outstanding warrants in California, as she has battled decades-long mental health issues stemming from her childhood after her parents were separated when she was 10. Dysfunction breeds dysfunction, and dysfunctional parents are more likely to breed dysfunctional children. Aldrich's roots were tainted from the start. A poisonous environment, stunning growth towards promiscuity. Aldrich has many mass shooters, including school shooters, in the past 2 decades who grew up in dysfunctional homes. Psychologist Peter Langman compiled a list of 56 school shooters and found that 82% of them grew up in dysfunctional families without their parents together. And I'm going to be honest with you, that is very true. I grew up in a dysfunctional family, but I at least had things that helped me out. A lot of people don't have that luck, and I was very lucky about that. This statistically reality becomes even more daunting when you realize that the United States ranks first in single-parent households and among the top 10 in divorce rates around the world. I'm not going to slam single-parent households. Young men are a destructive force if they're not shown at a young age how to regulate their emotions and not properly reprimanded if they cross unreasonable boundaries. Their fathers are supposed to be their natural disciplinaries. They're guides to properly reacting in tremendous life beings. Yeah, in a traditional family sense, I'm sure. Without their national emotional instructor, they're more likely to be unable to regulate their frustrations appropriately. I have a problem regulating my frustrations appropriately, which will push the boundaries of the violence they're willing to commit. Aldrich's father has battled with his personal demons, helped spawn the vengeful demon that the innocent people in Club Q had to face at the barrel of a gun. This is. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with this. This is absolutely things that I've been saying. Obviously, not everyone from a broken home is a violent offender. But if we continue to increase the pool of children living in disconnected and dysfunctional families, the number of people who are among the extremes with the potential to commit violence only rise. Also true. The family dysfunction isn't a single indicator of violence, but a significant contributing factor. It can be a crucial warning sign, especially among our young men. We need to pay closer attention to their behavior and emotional propensity instead of dismissing them or simply sedating them with mind-altering prescription drugs for short-term results, which I believe that would get me in trouble. In the end, the rest of society pays for the failed parenting, whether or not the economically by housing them in prisons across the country are through terrible bloodshed like we witnessed in Colorado Springs. Monsters aren't born, they're raised. Now, one of the things that I've heard is that he is identifying as non-binary. He's also saying that he is a member of the LGBT community. I've also heard people tell me that he's had a hard time socializing with people. He had a hard time connecting with people and felt outright ostracized. And quite frankly, I could see it. I could see being so far disconnected from reality, from the ability to talk to people, that this happens. This man bomb threaded his own mother. And as bad of a person as she may be, as bad of a person as his father may be, the propensity for both to have this massive problem is just not right. Now, me myself, I deal with my own personal demons, and I have done videos on my own personal demons. I am liable to get lambasted and hate for what I have said here today. Just simply because I wanted to just talk about those instead of bringing up the temple drama, which is what a lot of people wanted me to talk about. You see, I could care less about internet drama. I thought this was the more important story. Anyways, I've been Jackie. If you've made it this far in the video, I just want you to know I love you. And you should do things to help yourself out. Improve your own mental health, for example. And other than that, if you like my content, please like, subscribe, and comment down below. I'm trying to get back in the swing of doing this a little bit more often. While I was away, I apparently grew to 6,000 subscribers. I am on track to hit 7,000 by the end of the week. This is an amazing opportunity for somebody that's been on YouTube since 2006. I don't know why all of a sudden I started getting clout. I started getting my voice across and people are hearing. Not to mention my retention rates are doing amazing. But I try to answer and talk to people in the comments below. And, it's all I got. So, bye guys. Have a great one. And make sure you hug somebody special to you. Later.